Hello everyone, my name is Contro, and before we get started, special thanks to Cray Cherie for drawing my avatar, as well as drawing the art for this video. Go check out Cray Cherie's DeviantArt and show her some love. Link will be in the description below. Okay, so you know how I said I was planning to do a little extra something for each reaction video for TF2? Well, here's one of them. Lately I've been reflecting on how far the show has come since its inception, and it's gotten me reminiscing about the early years of the series. Then I happened upon this story on filmfiction.net. Ladies and gentlemen, I present a throwback to one of the most popular ships in TF2 analysis history. It's now non-canon, if you will, but it was all the rage way back when. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Helpless Indeed by Pastel Script. Oh, and brief mild language warning. Have fun! It had been the sunny afternoon of that day when he genuinely felt the feeling of helplessness. The team had just gotten back from a round of their battle with the robots, each one of them taking a well-deserved break at their home base, leisurely occupying themselves with different hobbies or chats. Well, except for a certain medic, of course. Firebrand stood idly at the doorframe leading to the back exit, looking forth longingly at the sight in front of him. The goddess equivalent that is their very own team scout, Ink Rose, who was practicing her baseball routine with her favorite bat. After his most recent talk with the doc, it seemed to motivate him enough to actually find the mare during break time. The idea of taking action, however, was completely thrown out the window the second he laid eyes on her. Just listening to her light mumbles of "Hcha!" an inhumanly adorable laugh whenever she'd victoriously strike the ball back at the wall, his eyes dilated out of pure admiration, and his preciously shown dorky grin snuck back up to his features. It was that time again in which all common sense left his body in a frozen-like trance, his thoughts being lost in nothing but how amazing she was. A feeling of helplessness. All that was left to think of was how wonderful she was, how funny, how sweet, how enthusiastic, how energetic. The list could go on and on and on. Oh, hey, Brand. Until they are interrupted, of course. Ah! Oh, hello, Ink. Brand had been so lost in his thoughts that he nearly forgot the purpose of finding her in the first place. He visibly flinched from Ink's sudden greeting, who in which responded with a laugh. My, silly Brandy. It was just a greeting, you scaredy cat. The mare mused, momentarily pausing her game just to wink playfully at him. She then turned back as she continued, unaware of the inner struggle the poor medic was experiencing. So, what's up? With that line, Brand's head turned into official emotional turmoil. He took a deep breath, the distant echoes of his last words with Doc mocking him in his mind. Wish me luck. And oh, was that what he really needed now? I actually wanted to talk to you about something. Alrighty. Ink Rose chirped, stopping her game completely and tossing her baseball to the side. She then walked on towards where Brand was, giving him all of her undivided attention. Shoot! It was only then and there when Firebrand discovered the true difficulty there was to admitting actual, heartfelt feelings to someone. He hardly even began his first sentence when Ink's eyes locked intently to his, a lump forming down his throat, uneasy to swallow. His heart sped faster than the ticking of sticky bombs, to which he hated himself for making that analogy. The sides of his face and neck burning up quickly. It took all the willpower in the world to not set his face on fire, as much as his unicorn magic called desperately for it. Damn fire magic. Ink Rose tilted her head confusingly, pondering to why the sentence wasn't continued. You... what? Well, this may sound strange to you, or maybe not. I'm not really sure. It really depends on how you'll take this information. The sudden change of tone in her friend's voice was definite proof that something was up. She blinked slowly, trying to figure out whether she was just seeing things, or if her friend's red coat turned a few shades darker than usual. Brand? Are you okay? Do we need to schedule something with Doc, or... No, we don't need to see Doc. I'm all right, came the immediate response. Seeing Dr. Wolf again was the last thing he wanted to do, especially after getting advice from the guy just minutes before all this happened. It would have turned out awkward. Like, Silver Quill levels of awkward. The idea of becoming an image of the griffin in question sent a shiver down Brand's spine. The unsure reaction from the latter seemed to snap him back to reality. Inkro's unable to make out from anything that was going on. Firebrand took a momentary second to recollect his thoughts, taking one deep breath as he repeated a simple phrase on his mind. It's now or never. Okay, it's actually more of a now or eventually with the consequences of being driven completely off focus on the battlefield kind of thing, but hey, no pressure. At least, that's what he considered a simple phrase. Or maybe he was just taking these catchphrases too seriously. Okay, I'll give it to you straight, Ink. He breathed out, trying to calm down the butterflies that resided in his stomach. I like you. The scout found herself laughing at her friend's statement, as if it were nothing out of the ordinary. Ink would even consider herself surprised with how hard it's been for Firebrand to tell her. What's so wrong then? I like you too, Brand. You're such a great friend, and you crack the funniest of jokes. At times. Actually, I meant that I like you. More than a friend kind of way. He quickly restated, a nervous smile on his face. What came next was a round of silence between the two team members. And then came the regrets. A lot of them. Firebrand tried his best to keep up his simply nervous smile act, though with little success. Every passing moment has made it clearer and clearer of how much he has been internally screaming into the void the whole time. He was pretty sure that the butterflies in his stomach have mutated into monster-sized ostriches at this point, and his face was already a blazing hot, darker red shade. So much for his self-image. Inkrose's face, on the other hand, has been rendered unreadable. It was unclear of how she felt about all this. Confused, shocked, disappointed. The medic was too overwhelmed to process anything that came to sight. That didn't stop him from apologizing, though. Oh, dear Celestia, I am so sorry you had to hear that. I know that's all been so confusing for you. Wait a minute. Is Rose suppressing a chuckle right in front of him? Ink suddenly bursted out into a full-out round of hysterical laughter, her figure hunching over as she tried to control her breathing. The medic could only blink unknowingly as he cautiously watched his friend completely lose her chill in the most unexpected way possible. Brand, I know. Finally came her proper response, smiling sweetly to the flustered stallion. Firebrand groaned frustratedly at himself in defeat, burying his face in his hooves. See? I never should have done that in the first place. He snapped his head back up from out of the blue, his eyes widening in shock. Wait, what? I knew you had a crush on me, silly. It's been obvious for quite a while now. I am an analyst, after all, she continued, looking straight towards him as she raised a hoof up and used her mouth to mimic the sound of a finger snap, as if she ever had fingers. The blonde could only stare back into his longtime friend's eyes in pure disbelief, realization hitting hard and hardly merciful. What? I mean, wait, what? Why didn't you just... Oh, I couldn't just simply tell you like that. It would take the fun out of it, Ink chided, then paused for a moment to wink more evidently now, a shimmering glint of mischievousness in her eyes. Besides, who knew that the level-minded medic could become such a lovable dork when it comes to these things? His jaw dropped, allowing only the faint, high-pitched gurgling of voice to pierce the air between them. Part of him wanted to smack the living sense out of the mare for not telling him sooner. The other wanting to glomp her as much as possible, now that he has a valid reason to. He was still grateful either way. Oh, and... I like you too, Ink mused, mimicking what he had said earlier with her own deep red hue on her cheeks. The most of what she could do was share in his flushed-up embarrassment after everything he's probably gone through. I'm surprised you haven't found out yet until now. Even Dr. Wolf knew about it. Funny, right? Firebrand's response could only be described with incoherent sputters of processing thoughts, unable to fully make out words from what the mayor of his dreams has just admitted to him. He was, however, eventually able to speak more or less normally again, rubbing his neck as a surge of indescribable happiness and joy dawned upon him in the end. So, are you free next Saturday afternoon? Maybe a simple munch-out and video game marathon? A munch-out and video game marathon seems perfect. It's a date, then. The feeling of content finally came about to the Red Stallion, a heart-warming grin shamelessly glowing across his features as a sign of how much he's been able to accomplish today. And to imagine that he owed it all to... Two and two clicked in his head in sudden realization. Wait a minute, if Dr. Wolf knew about all this ever since before... Then you set this all up with him a while ago! That talk was all planned, you little... But he wasn't able to continue his point onwards, for he was then silenced by a pair of delicate lips pressing onto his. Oh, he's definitely helpless.